Hello and welcome to Palace Fan TV for Jim and Jay's final say post Watford game, where we lost again. They're getting quite familiar now, aren't they? These Jim and Jay's final says review videos here at Palace Fan TV, because the Watford game felt like a lot of other games we've had recently, where Palace were not at their best but still in the game, had chances, and were sort of sucker punched by a team who were about the same sort of level as them, matched them, but have snuck a win. And it's getting frustrating, but it's not the end of the world. And I think we should all remember that we've come a long way. We're going to be okay. Now, I know I'm saying that with 12 games to go or so. Talk to me in 10 games' time. I might be changing my tune. But I think we're going to be okay. You see, Newcastle will get hammered this afternoon at Chelsea. There's worse teams than us down there. I mean, you can't deny that we've got to look over our shoulder, and I don't think we're in a relegation battle, but you have to be always looking down the bottom of the table, because the aim at every season in the Premier League, if you're not in the top four, which we're not, is to stay up. You have to. You can't compete. You can't have good seasons. You can't do a Leicester unless you stay in the league, and that will always be our ambition. And I think we're going to be okay for that this season, despite this run we're on. We thought last week, didn't we, the Swansea game might be turning a corner a bit, and we certainly played better in that game in the second half. And the Watford game sort of matched that. First half was not very good from either side, really. It was quite dour. It was quite cagey, and it was a 1-1 at half time. Adebayor scored a good goal, but really you'd have taken it. Well, you wouldn't have taken it, but you'd have agreed it'd be a 0-0 game really at half time. Both sides didn't really create too much. Watford's goal, though, came from a penalty, and I haven't seen it back. But at the time, everyone was very confused because the Watford players didn't appeal anything. The referee pointed to the spot, and it took a good 5 to 10 seconds for everyone to realise what was happening, including the Watford players and Watford fans. And the Palace players were not happy at all. By having a quick look on Twitter on the way home, it sounds like Jedinak grabbed Deeney or pulled his shirt or something at the near post. But it sounds like the sort of thing that goes on all the time, which obviously doesn't make it okay. But if you're giving that, maybe we're going to be seeing 5 to 10 penalties every game. And in fact, there was an instant in the first half, not long after that, where a Watford player seemed to get called over during a Palace corner for holding or something. I don't know. And I haven't seen that one back either. But you do have to kind of ask about consistency sometimes, because if a referee is giving that kind of decision early on, he's going to have to be handing out a lot of free kicks for the rest of the game. And the referee didn't do that. And in fact, he took a long time to get his first yellow card out, even though there was a few Watford players making quite persistent fouls. So, I'm not making excuses and blaming the ref, and I know it sounds a bit sour grapes after a defeat to say, well, the ref wasn't very good. He wasn't very good. He was inconsistent, and yet again, it's been a theme of referees this season, a lack of consistency, and it makes players and fans frustrated, and it can disrupt play a little bit. Having said that, we didn't really ever get into our flow properly, and it probably wasn't really play to disrupt. But we did create chances here and there. And it certainly wasn't a horror performance. And like Swansea last week, it was better in the second half. And there was some positives as well, but we just couldn't find that breakthrough. And we're having a run where things go against you. Kabaya volley in the second half hits the post and comes out. Earlier in the season, when things are going our way, that hits the post and goes in. Same with Wilf away at Aston Villa. The Jedinak thing, early in the season, that doesn't get given. Adebayor's chance where he poked it at the near post after Wilf squared it. Earlier in the season, Gomes doesn't get a hand to that and it goes in. So these are the things that happen when you're on a bad run, and really you just have to stand up and hope that there's a good reaction from the team week after week. And today wasn't terrible, but it certainly wasn't pretty. But you do wonder whether that's to do with perhaps a loss of confidence in the team, loss of confidence in the stands. It's another week where the Palace fans weren't quite at their best. It was quite dour, quite flat as an atmosphere. And sometimes that can be replicated on the pitch. I think we can do a bit better as the fans in the stands, maybe to get that kind of, not passion, but there's something missing there. There's something missing in the team, and there's something missing in the fans as well. And I think when both of those come back, we'll be absolutely fine, because we've got a team full of quality. Some other positives then. Adebayor I thought had a good game again. He was good at Swansea. I thought he was good again today. Scored a lovely header. Opened his account for Palace. And unlucky, as I say, with that toe poke not to add another one. Connor Wickham was started, and when we saw the team sheet, we thought, oh, here we go. Wickham and Adebayor up front. Maybe a 4-4-2 or more traditional sort of looking 4-4-2. But as it was, he played out wide on the left, which was confusing because that was one of the reasons he cited leaving Sunderland, because they played him out wide where he didn't want to, and he'd rather play in the middle. So that was a surprise. But Pardew did say after the game, we tried that. We thought it might add more balance to the team, and it didn't work. Fine, it didn't work. We admit that. We hold up our hands. We move on. And even in the first half, you did see Jordan Much go out wide, and Wickham did come in the middle. So at least they did try and switch it. Not quite sure why Wickham went off at half time. Injury maybe? Don't know. Thought it was a bit of a weird change because I didn't think he was doing too badly. But Jordan Much, it must be said, had a good game, I think. And again, he got taken off for Campbell late on. A bit of a weird one again there, because I thought he was having a good game as well. But maybe that was a roll of a dice from Pardew to chuck another striker on. And it didn't really work. But it's a frustrating one, really, because we're a good team. You know, we're having a good season. Unfortunately, that good start season seems to be petering out. But we're still not too far off, you know, where we want to be on top of the table. We just need a couple of things to swing our way, results to swing our way, and I think then, you know, we'll be back into a winning run, hopefully. But it is hard to take, especially when you're losing to teams like Bournemouth and Watford and Villa, teams we should be beating, and teams last season we were beating. But there you go. Anyway, that's my reaction to the game. Here's Jay from the Eagles Beak with his thoughts, and we'll see you after Palace play Tottenham in the FA Cup. So, you know, we've been doing well in the Cup in the last few weeks, so maybe we'll win that, and that will bring smiles back to everyone's faces. You know, hopefully, though, we don't do a Wigan and go all the way and win the Cup and go down. Although, maybe some fans would take that. That's a conundrum for another video. But anyway, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. Click that button, subscribe for all the Palace Fan TV action. We've got loads going on here. And follow us on Instagram and Snapchat. Oh, and comment below. Who do you think was Palace's best player today? I think Zaha, probably. Haven't even mentioned him ever. I think he had a good game for us today. Another good game for Wilf with Balassi out. But who do you think was the best player? Comment below and let us know. That's it. Here's Jay from the Eagles Beak. See you again soon.
Hey guys, welcome back to Palace Fan TV. This is Jim and Jay's final say, and we're looking back at a Watford game earlier on today. Disappointed, frustrating. I've been a Palace fan far too long to get despondent about it, but I know a lot of Palace fans on social media, particularly tonight, very, not so much angry, but disappointed, like I mentioned, about the result today. I had a good feeling about today. I have done all week. That's been blown out of the water by losing 2-1 at home to Watford. Take nothing away from Watford. Good side. Great to see Ben Watson come back. Got a great reception from Palace fans. But they did a job over us today. And I think the biggest thing for me is I was frustrated by the first half performance. Not just the performance. It was a lot about the players' reactions. There was a lot of, not negativity, but there was a lot of players out there that kind of looked a bit lost, if that's the right word. I mean, Wickham out wide, not playing a central role, which he normally does for us, because Adebayor had that role. Wasn't playing particularly alongside him. Looked to be the wide player, which is, he played that at Sunderland to not very good effect. And one of the reasons why he perhaps wanted to leave Sunderland, because he kept being played out wide. First game back, obviously, after suspension, but he was changed. He was replaced at half time, and Lee came on. But the first half, I mean, dubious penalty decision, I have to say. I think if, Jednak again in the box, manhandling somebody, I'm only saying as I saw it during the game, because I haven't seen the replay as yet, so it could be slightly different, but how games go when you're actually watching them live. But for me, if the referee's given that decision, then you'll be given 10 penalties a game. For me, I mean, that's just something that happens a lot. I mean, there's a lot of things that are said about football in that, if that would happen anywhere else on a pitch, it's a free kick. So rightly so, it's probably a penalty. But a lot of the time, it goes on in the penalty area, and we've seen so many times against us and for us, we've got away with it. But Jednak is one player that's given a few, penalties away exactly for doing that. But I think it was harsh. I don't think the Watford players even appealed for it. Watford fans certainly didn't know, and we didn't know he'd given it for a good 5 or so seconds, and looked a bit, as the game stopped. But regardless, Deeney dispatched a penalty well past Hennessy, and it kind of knocked us off our stride a little bit, because I think we started okay, but as the first half wore on, we looked a little bit lost, as I mentioned, and too many players out there on the pitch in that first half didn't look like they were giving it their all. I'm not accusing them of not giving 100%, because I'm sure that's not the case, but whether it's just the tactics or us playing a kind of a 4-4-2 or 4-5-1 if Wickham was playing wide, it looked quite odd, the kind of positioning he was taking up, but it looked mostly he was playing wide. But we got ourselves back into it. Sometimes you don't always get what you deserve, and sometimes it's the other way around, because I don't think we deserve to be level at half time on the balance of play, but we did. I mean, Adebayor, a goal for him, which, as we saw in the second half, gave him so much confidence. It was a good goal, typical Adebayor goal, header, well, kind of a flick header really, and looped over the keeper into the top corner, and it kind of gave us a bit of a kick really, because we, for the rest of that half, where 2-3 minutes I think it was left in the half, we had a go at Watford. Didn't really get any chance out of it, but I think it was real impetus going into the second half, and the second half was much better for us. We did have a go. Adebayor linked up very well with Jordan Much and Chan Young Lee, who came on for Wickham, as I mentioned, at half time. I just don't think we utilised Wilf enough. I mean, as the second half wore on, we did use him, but I think he was a real threat for us, and I think he got frustrated by the lack of ball time that he had. But he is an outlet for us. He really is, and as we've seen in recent games, we should have used him a bit more really against their fullbacks, who, particularly the first half, he didn't really test their left back, and second half he got at the right back a few more times, but he was doubled up again against him, which is what happens for skillful players. But sucker punch game from Watford, a mistake in defence. I don't know who it was, because I was the other end of the pitch, so the ball got through to Deeney somehow, and he finished, and they were 2-1 up. Again, late on in the game, not much time for us to try and get back, but we had chances. I mean, the Kabay effort that came right back off the post, I thought that was in. I think there's a chance from Adebayor, which the keeper saved at point blank. So I think we've done enough to get a point out of the game, but it's just not running for us at the moment. I think you do make your own luck in football, and it's just disappointing to come away with another defeat. A downside of the game is Soiree got sent off for, I think Hennessy put him in real trouble by throwing the ball out to him when he did, and Soiree went straight through the Watford player, which arguably, I'd like to see it again, but arguably deserved the red card that he got. I could be wrong, only seeing it real time, so it's probably hard to judge, but like I say, disappointment is the main feeling today after this result. Puts us free fall really at the moment. I think there's no other word for it. We're in a bad run of form at the moment. Pardew does need to sort it out. For me, Yednak was a bit of a liability today. I don't like picking out players as such, but the fact is, if we had a fully fit first 11, Yednak wouldn't be playing. So I think that says a lot about where we are at the moment. I thought after the draw last week against Swansea, it was a bit of a turning point, but as that turned out to be a case, it's not the case. So, as you can say, I'm not a negative person at all. It's just I thought we were going to get something from a game today. I really did. I think the referee was awful, but you can't blame the referees week in, week out. That happens too often. You need to do what you need to do in a game. I think when Jordan Much went off when he did, kind of changed the game or the way the rest of the game was panning out. I think Much had a good game up until then. He was struggling, to be fair. He was struggling to get back into position, so I could see the mindset of changing that up. But maybe going for the 3 points was bold. Bringing Campbell on, if you're saying that's going for 3 points, perhaps we could have taken the point. Maybe that's the wrong thing to say. I don't know. But at the moment, points hard to come by for us. So maybe in retrospect, that would have been a wise decision. But hey, we'll go again next week, FA Cup next week, so kind of a freebie. So we'll look forward to that and see what we can do at Spurs, and hopefully we can have a couple more players back from injury. Again, not making excuses. I still think we should have got some out of games today. So that's it from me. I'm not much more I can say on the game today. So please leave your comments about the game underneath the video. Tell us what you thought of the result. what you think the problem is, perhaps. Both myself and Jim would like to know. Also, feedback as well. Share the videos. Follow Palace Fan TV on Twitter and Facebook and Snapchat. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back next week after the FA Cup tie at White Hart Lane.